That boy who used to spend days in the garage with only his imagination and a couple hand tools has gotten lost in the grind of the real world. I think it's time we find him.
Either you kick the day in the, or the day kicks you. Look, this week blew up in an instant, and I'm so far behind. I have to reupholster seats, oil changes, maintenance, so much to do. So, without further gilding of the lily and no more ado, today's build is as quick and easy as you want it to be. And since last week's build, the Screech Owl House, didn't get an artistic touch, I'm doubling down today. The same build, going two completely different ways. If that sounds like something you want to see, please consider hitting that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, get a 1x6 or a 2x6, preferably somewhere in the middle of that. Etsy is full of these selling everywhere, made from 3/4 inch stock, which I think is too thin, and 1.5 inch stock, which for me is just far too clunky. But it's quick and it's easy, so dimensional lumber is what they use. I want mine somewhere in the middle, around 1 inch thick, let's say, of course depending on our size and what we can find. Change the quote, rule the day or let the day rule you. I prefer my version. Let's see what we got. The 2x6 chunk will square off and go with the golden ratio of 1/2, so 11 inches long. And this, let's just square up the edges and go from there. And we hit up Scar, now known as the Betrayer of Souls. If you saw last week's build, she had a wobble dobble, and I was not impressed when my 0-degree lock was anywhere from 0 to 2 degrees. I googled it and there was nothing. I think I might be the only one who actually owns this saw, but Bostitch had one that had the same problem. So if you flip it up, you can see 2 screws, you tighten them, and she locks right down. Now, the Bostitch also had something even cooler. It had an octo arm bending all up on itself. No slide, none, cutting the bench space in half. I didn't even know those existed. And Bostitch isn't the only one who has them. Just think of that, a 12-inch cut capacity in half the space. Priceless. Two by 6 will leave as is, although I'm tempted to stand it on end and rip the thickness down to 1 inch or 1.25 inches. But the rough sawn just gets its edges ripped off to clean it up. Now, I don't always use a planer, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. No, it's my Wen. It's the only one I got. My 2x6 has a cup in it, so I'm just going to knock it down to 1.25 inches or so. This isn't needed. Some will say I'm a pain and I make life difficult. I just don't like 3/4 stock for this, and I think 1.5 is too thick, so look, I can fix it. You don't have to. I dragged the other one out and hit her up for a quick sanding, at least for the 2x6 anyways, but the rough sawn takes forever. I just didn't want to run it through the thicknesser and remove too much. So we just ride it out. We need to make legs for this. I still have some of that 2x6 left over, and I prefer to make the legs from the same board if possible as the top. So back to the table saw for a quick rip or two. Then cut at the miter. I'll spare you the sanding this time around. Just bevel the edges along the bottom for a little more refined look. First one all planned out, we turn our attention to the second. Now, the finish on this one is something I've dabbled with, but never in this way. And for that look, I really think that I want bulbous legs, but I don't have a lathe yet. I do have some doodads that I got from somewhere, and I think if I cut them in half, I might have some options there. I just use a little demon for this from Temple Tools. I have 3 of their saws, and this is probably my go-to. Not sure which half I like best though. I do know that this one needs some work, so Durham Rock Hard Putty, a quick mix up and fill out the damaged areas. Now, the big one is getting 4 steps on the finish. The first is a watered down acrylic. It's my base for distressing. Black and brown, slop it on. There we go. The putty dried, I give it a quick sanding on the damaged leg, and we're looking good. Now as the paint dries, I break out the laser for project 1. A lot of these on Etsy are painted and distressed. You know, one color paint. Edges rubbed down, nice look. I'm going to stain this, but want to add some little detail to it. So I drew a basic border for the corners and cleaned it up on GIMP. And then I let the laser do the rest. The idea is simple. I want to stain it and the stain will pool nicely into the engraving, making it even darker. Yes, I still want to learn to do this by hand, but until I find the time or the will, the laser it is. Scorched pen, Dremel, you have your options. Some tight bond, brad nails, and a bad camera angle, and this piece is ready for stain. Golden oak. It's soft, it's warm, and it's inviting. Everything I want for this piece. The moment it goes on and seeps into the engraving, I have no doubt I picked the right stain. And for a final finish, I'm busting out this Tills Wall cordless sprayer. Spray lacquer has become the favorite finish for all YouTubers lately. So much so it's like the hairspray of the 80s, and yes, just as bad for the environment. And also quite expensive. So when Tillswell asked me to try this, I was like, yes please. I have some straight up poly in it and I'm giving it a shot. Just a couple light coats and wow, okay. I'm a little intimidated using it for something so small, and I might have gone a touch too heavy on the spray, but I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. I wanted this one for smaller projects. I got some end tables and hall tables I need to build in the near future, and my list keeps growing. Let's turn our attention back to the larger one. I'm not 100% sure on the legs, so I think I'll wait for the last minute before I glue them on. Then it's white paint mixed with a little bit of plaster of Paris, creating our own chalk paint. I go light, sparingly around the edges and heavier in the middle. Don't go this thick. I always mix this by hand, and I really mixed it too thick here. Although I'm not sure if it's too much plaster of Paris or the fact that my paint is just getting funky. But to be honest, I'm kind of liking the clumps in it. It's adding that rustic charm. A quick sanding and his decoupage. I've done this a couple times now, and honestly, I'm digging the colors. So I drafted out a couple French country styles, had AI help me with the flowers, then I hit it up in GIMP again, and brought it to where it is now. It's not a complicated process, but for sure takes a lot of time. I wanted an old antique feel to this, so I even went so far as to create an old aging parchment under it. Not that we'll actually see it because I printed it wrong. Now, I'm not sure this is going to work. White background for the printing tends to do best because you can just fade it right into the white paint. And this has green. But I wanted the color in it, like I said. So, Mod Podge, and lay it down, squeegee it out. And sand. And here we are. For a quick and easy build, I couldn't be any more pleased, and I think we changed our stars. A quick spray poly and they look great. Use them in the kitchen, the bathroom, bedroom, table. Just a little riser to give some depth and dimension and bring a little character to your space. Which is your favorite? Which are you going to try? As always, thank you for watching and choosing to spend 15 minutes building with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until the next time.